Have you ever felt like your spiritual journey is leading you somewhere unknown? Like you've followed all the steps, learned all the lessons, but something still feels unfinished? You've heard of the 7 stages of spiritual awakening, but what if there's more? What if beyond those stages lies a deeper, hidden transformation, one that few people talk about? In this video, we're going beyond the well-known path. We'll explore what happens after the 7 stages, uncovering the unseen layers of awakening that many experience but struggle to understand. If you've ever felt stuck, lost, or like you're on the edge of something greater, this video is for you. Stay with me as we break down this next phase of your awakening, one that could change everything you thought you knew about spirituality. The journey of spiritual awakening is often described as unfolding in 7 stages, each one bringing new insights, challenges, and transformations. These stages serve as a guide, helping us understand our evolution in consciousness. They mark the shift from unconscious living to a deeper connection with our true selves. But here's the truth. These 7 stages are not the final destination. They are stepping stones, not endpoints. Many believe that reaching the last stage means they have arrived, only to realize that something still feels incomplete. The spiritual journey doesn't stop at a neatly defined finish line. It keeps evolving, revealing deeper layers of awareness that go far beyond what we initially expected. So, what lies beyond? What happens when you think you've reached the final stage, only to feel like there's more? That's exactly what we're going to explore next. There comes a moment in life when everything changes. A single event, a deep realization, or an unshakable feeling that the world is not as it seems. This is the trigger, the moment of awakening. It can be sudden or subtle, but once it happens, there is no going back. It might come through loss, heartbreak, a near-death experience, or even an inexplicable surge of awareness. Suddenly, the reality you once accepted without question begins to feel incomplete. At first, this awakening feels like a revelation, an exciting glimpse into something deeper. You begin to see patterns you never noticed before. You start questioning the beliefs you've carried your entire life. But soon, this excitement is met with resistance. As your consciousness expands, something inside you begins to fight back. This is the ego struggle, a battle between the old self and the emerging truth. The ego, which has shaped your identity for years, sees this transformation as a threat. It doesn't want to let go of control. It wants to maintain the familiar, even if that familiar is built on illusion. Doubt creeps in. Was this awakening even real? Am I losing myself? You may feel torn between 2 worlds, one that feels safe and predictable, and another that is uncertain but full of potential. Fear of judgment from others, fear of losing relationships, fear of stepping into the unknown. All of it surfaces in this stage. This is where many turn back, clinging to their old ways because the discomfort is too much to bear. But for those who continue, the journey descends even deeper into the dark night of the soul. And it is there that everything truly begins to unravel. Then comes the most painful and disorienting stage of the journey, the dark night of the soul. This is the point where everything that once gave you comfort, meaning, or identity begins to dissolve. The beliefs you held onto so tightly no longer make sense. The people you once resonated with now feel distant. Even the things that once brought you happiness seem empty and meaningless. It feels like a free fall into the unknown. You may experience deep emotional suffering, feelings of isolation, or a sense of hopelessness. It's as if you are losing yourself, but in reality, you are shedding the false layers that were never truly you. The ego resists, grasping at anything to maintain control. But the more you cling, the deeper the suffering becomes. For many, this stage is terrifying. It feels like everything is crumbling, and in a way, it is. But this breakdown is necessary, because only by letting go of the illusion can you step into something real. It is in this darkness that the light begins to emerge. And so, after the despair and confusion, a new energy arises, the energy of the seeker. Once the illusions have been stripped away, a deep hunger for truth takes hold. You begin searching relentlessly for answers. You dive into spirituality, philosophy, psychology, anything that might help you understand what is happening. You devour books, watch endless videos, explore meditation, energy healing, or ancient teachings. You may feel drawn to certain spiritual traditions or practices, sensing that somewhere in all of this, the missing pieces will come together. This is the phase of exploration and discovery. It is an exciting time, but also overwhelming. There are countless paths, countless teachings, and not all of them resonate. You may find yourself bouncing between different ideologies, trying to make sense of it all. But despite the uncertainty, one thing is clear. You can never return to who you were before. Because once you begin seeking, the journey never truly stops. And as you go deeper, you come face to face with something even more profound: the awakening of the authentic self. As the seeker phase unfolds, something begins to shift. The constant search for answers starts to slow down. Instead of looking outward, you begin to turn inward. This is the awakening of the authentic self. The moment when you start to remember who you truly are beneath all the conditioning, expectations, and fears. You no longer feel the need to conform to old identities. The masks you once wore, whether to fit in, to be accepted, or to meet societal expectations, begin to fall away. There's a newfound sense of freedom, an unshakable inner knowing that you are not defined by your past, your labels, or the roles you once played. At first, this can feel liberating, like finally stepping into the person you were always meant to be. But it can also be unsettling. The relationships, jobs, and routines that once felt normal now seem misaligned. You start to see how much of your old life was built on compromise, on suppressing your true essence to fit into a world that never truly saw you. This is where major life shifts begin to happen. Some people leave toxic relationships, change careers, or move to new places. Others simply start setting boundaries, choosing authenticity over approval. There's a deepening connection to intuition, a sense of trust in the flow of life. But awakening doesn't mean escaping reality. It means integrating this newfound awareness into everyday life. And that leads to the next stage, the integration process. At this point, spirituality is no longer just an abstract concept or a personal retreat. It becomes a way of living. You begin to merge your spiritual awareness with the physical world, finding balance between your higher self and your human experience. You learn that enlightenment isn't about escaping daily responsibilities or avoiding challenges. Instead, it's about bringing presence, wisdom, and alignment into everything you do. You become more mindful in your interactions, more intentional in your choices. The emotions and struggles still come, but now, instead of reacting blindly, you observe them with awareness. This stage is about mastery, not perfection, but a deep understanding that you are both a spiritual being and a human being, coexisting in harmony. The more you integrate this awareness, the more natural it becomes. And from this place of alignment, you enter the final stage, the moment where everything begins to flow with purpose. This is living in alignment. When you reach living in alignment, everything begins to flow effortlessly. You are no longer constantly searching for answers because you have become the answer. Your actions, thoughts, and emotions resonate with your higher self. Life no longer feels like a series of struggles. You embrace each moment as part of a greater unfolding. This is where you stop fighting against life and start moving with it. Your choices are no longer dictated by fear but by clarity and trust. Challenges still arise, but they no longer shake your foundation. You understand that everything, every experience, every lesson, every person you encounter, serves a purpose in your evolution. You feel a deep connection with yourself, with others, and with the universe itself. Love, compassion, and presence become your natural state. There is no longer a separation between your spiritual journey and your everyday life. They are one and the same. For many, this feels like the final destination, the completion of the journey. But here's where the biggest misconception lies. This is not the end. Reaching alignment doesn't mean your growth stops. It doesn't mean you have all the answers or that your path is now free of challenges. In fact, for many, this is where the real journey begins. Because beyond these 7 stages, something even deeper unfolds, an unseen transformation that few talk about, yet many experience. A phase where the self dissolves even further, and the boundaries between personal identity and universal consciousness begin to blur. So, what happens after the 7 stages? What lies beyond? That's what we're going to explore next. Just when you think you've reached the end of the journey, something unexpected happens. After all the struggles, lessons, and transformations of the 7 stages, there's a moment of deep stillness, where everything finally makes sense. But then, a new question emerges. Who am I beyond all of this? This is where the unseen journey beyond the 7 stages begins. Unlike the earlier phases, this part of awakening isn't about discovering more knowledge or refining your identity. It's about letting go of identity itself. The self you've carefully redefined throughout your spiritual journey starts to dissolve. You may experience moments of profound detachment, where personal desires, opinions, and even emotions feel distant. The things that once felt important, your goals, your spiritual achievements, even your sense of self, begin to lose their grip on you. It's not depression or numbness. It's an opening, a widening of perception beyond personal identity. For some, this shift comes with spontaneous mystical experiences, moments of deep unity with existence where the separation between self and everything else disappears. You might feel as if you're merging with nature, the cosmos, or pure consciousness itself. Time feels different. Reality seems fluid. The boundaries between the physical and the spiritual blur. But this phase isn't always easy. The mind, which has spent a lifetime defining itself, may struggle with this loss of structure. There can be moments of existential disorientation, a sense of floating between worlds, no longer fully belonging to the old self, yet not entirely dissolved into the infinite. You may also find yourself questioning everything again, but this time it's different. Instead of searching for answers, you begin to realize that there are no final answers, only direct experience. Truth is no longer something to be grasped intellectually, it is something you become. This stage requires deep surrender, a willingness to let go of everything, even the idea of being awakened. It is here that the journey moves beyond personal transformation and into something much larger, a direct participation in the unfolding of the universe itself. And yet, even this is not the final destination, because consciousness is infinite, and the journey never truly ends. It only expands. Understanding this deeper phase of awakening brings a kind of freedom that words can barely describe. When you accept that the journey never truly ends, something shifts inside you. The pressure to arrive at some final destination disappears. Instead of chasing enlightenment as if it were a goal, you begin to embody it in the present moment. One of the greatest benefits of this understanding is inner peace. The constant need to seek, to know, to define yourself, it all starts to fade. You no longer feel trapped by the expectations of the world or even by the expectations you once placed on yourself. Life unfolds naturally and you move with it instead of resisting. Another profound shift is emotional resilience. The struggles that once seemed overwhelming no longer hold the same weight. Fear, doubt, and uncertainty still arise, but they don't consume you. You recognize them as passing waves, not absolute truths. Instead of being controlled by emotions, you learn to observe them with awareness. You also begin to experience deeper connection, not just with people, but with existence itself. Relationships become more authentic because they are no longer built on need or attachment, but on mutual presence. You feel more in tune with nature, the rhythms of life, and the unseen forces that guide your path. Most importantly, you gain a profound trust in the unknown. Instead of fearing what comes next, you embrace it. You no longer need certainty to feel safe because you understand that true security comes from within. And for those who feel stuck, lost, or overwhelmed right now, know this. Everything you are experiencing is part of your expansion. Every challenge, every question, every doubt is guiding you towards something greater. The journey isn't about escaping difficulties, it's about transforming the way you experience them. By accepting this deeper process, you free yourself from the illusion of control and step into a life of flow, presence, and limitless expansion. Navigating the journey beyond the 7 stages requires a different approach, one that is less about seeking and more about surrendering. At this stage, spiritual growth is no longer about collecting knowledge or chasing enlightenment, but about embodying presence, balance, and trust in the unfolding of life. One of the most powerful tools in this phase is meditation without expectation. Instead of meditating to achieve something, whether it's clarity, peace, or mystical experiences, you simply sit and allow whatever arises. No force, no resistance. This practice helps you detach from the mind's need to control and opens you to direct experience beyond thought. Another essential practice is grounding. As your consciousness expands, it's easy to feel disconnected from the physical world. To stay balanced, incorporate grounding activities like walking barefoot in nature, practicing breathwork, or engaging in mindful movement such as yoga or Tai Chi. These help anchor higher awareness into your daily life. Equally important is self-inquiry, but not in the way most people approach it. Instead of constantly seeking new answers, begin to question the very need for answers. Who is the one seeking? What remains when all thoughts and beliefs are set aside? This type of contemplation dissolves mental limitations and brings you closer to direct awareness. At this stage, balancing study, practice, and surrender becomes crucial. While learning and exploring spiritual concepts can be useful, there comes a point where intellectual understanding must give way to pure experience. Too much seeking keeps you trapped in the mind, while too little grounding can make you feel detached from reality. The key is to integrate both, absorbing wisdom while allowing space for the unknown. And perhaps the most powerful strategy of all, letting go of the need for certainty. The ego wants to define everything, to label experiences, to find a conclusion. But awakening beyond the 7 stages is about embracing the mystery. The more you surrender to the flow of life, the more you begin to experience its depth without needing to control it. There is no final step, no ultimate answer, only a continuous unfolding. And the more you align with this understanding, the more effortless the journey becomes. Throughout this journey, we've explored the 7 stages of spiritual awakening and the unseen path beyond them. We've uncovered how awakening is not a linear process, but an ever-expanding transformation, one that moves beyond identity, beyond beliefs, and into direct experience. We've also discussed the challenges of letting go, the dissolution of the self, and the deep surrender required to navigate this phase. And most importantly, we've explored the tools that can help you stay balanced: meditation without expectation, grounding practices, self-inquiry, and the ability to embrace the unknown. So now, I leave you with this question. Where are you in your journey? Have you felt the pull beyond the 7 stages, or are you still navigating the lessons within them? Share your experience in the comments. I'd love to hear your perspective. And if you want to dive even deeper into the mysteries of consciousness, make sure to watch What Science and Spirituality Say About the 5th Dimension. This video explores how higher dimensions of existence might influence our reality in ways we're only beginning to understand. You'll find the link on the screen and in the description. If this video resonated with you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss future insights on your spiritual journey. And if you know someone who might benefit from this message, share it with them. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.